Welcome to another episode of Talk to the Fedora, chatting about hard-hitting, honest entrepreneur wisdom that you can use to grow your small business. I'm your host, Jarrod Goldsmith from eSAX Virtual Events, and today we're pleased to welcome entrepreneur Marc Plante on our segment today. Marc started out independently as a home brewer and met his friend and business partner, Justin McNeil, through a fraternity of other local Zimmergy enthusiasts in the Ottawa, Ontario, Canada area. Their common passion for well-crafted beer, cool indie music, and a desire to chase a dream led them to many discussions on what if. Their vision was fueled by the fact that they made some pretty good darn beer in the process. Things became dangerous as their egos, while remaining in check, allowed them to believe that they could dream to one day turn their passion into a reality. That reality came true in June of 2017, when Stray Dog Brewing Company officially opened its doors in the community they call home, which is in Orleans, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, becoming the first microbrewery in the hood. The Stray Dog Brewing Company is more than just craft beer. It represents the spirit of adventure and the courage to pursue the passions that enrich our lives. Many people choose to give up on their dreams because of their failures, but yearn for something more. So Marc considers himself to be one of the luckiest people in the world to be able to pursue his dreams and to share it with the community he loves. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Jarrod. Thanks for having me.
You know, that's such a fun bio. I just love reading it and hearing about that passion that comes through. And every time I talk to you, you're just so happy all the time.
Well, I guess because I'm lucky to do what I love. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So, Marc, let's talk a bit about your background. Like, who are you? Like, we talked a little bit about it in the bio, but would you like to give us a bit more, like, what type of background do you have? And, tell us a bit more about Stray Dog.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on for a long time, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I've always been a big fan of beer, and then that evolved to a big fan of craft beer. The reason why I really enjoyed craft beer or buying different types of beer was selfishly, when I was going to parties, I didn't want people stealing my beer. So if I saw somebody drinking something that I was the only one that brought, then I knew, there's some shenanigans happening. But that also opened up my palate to other things that are available out there. Back in the 90s, I moved out west. I lived in Lake Louise. My first exposure to my first real craft brewery, which was Big Rock. They're much bigger now, obviously, but at the time they were still considered a fairly small craft brewery. But my goodness, there were some flavors that I had never had before. And so that really kind of began my passion forward. And my son started playing baseball when he was younger. And one of the assistant coaches was a home brewer. And my only exposure to home brewed beer at the time was my Uncle Michael, where he would go to one of these like brew type places where you would just pitch the yeast and come back a couple of weeks later. You would have a 2-liter PET bottle of what they were calling beer. And as a youngster, that would get you drunk pretty fast, but my gosh, it tasted horrible. So when I met, and his name is Andre Lalonde, and I have to give props to that man because without him, I wouldn't be here talking to you today about beer. He was the assistant baseball coach, and I found out he was a home brewer. So in my mind, I pictured these like wizardy type fellas sitting around a pot kettle and adding yeast and churning it around, and then magically beer would appear. I tried one of his beers that he made, and it was clearly one of the best I'd ever had. And it was absolutely amazing. It was an Amarillo Pale Ale. Amarillo is a type of hop. And I'm like, you made this like with your own hands? And he's like, yes. I said, I would love to learn how to do this. And so I would go to his place every Friday in his garage, and I would ask questions. I would, do whatever he asked me to do. Took a lot of notes. And then I started building my own homebrew system based on what he had built.
But all this time, you had a day job while you were pursuing this?
I did have a day job. So this is one of these things where I've been in the communications business, like public relations, for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And before that, I was in the restaurant and hospitality industry. So combined customer service, knowledgeability, hospitality, knowledgeability, and how do we have a good story? Yeah. So I took all of that, and then I started building this wonderful little hobby in my garage of just brewing beer, mostly for family and friends. And then, people started requesting my beer for other events, some of their house party or wedding or anything like that. I'm like, wow, I think I'm onto something. And then as a home brewer, you always want to excel and you want to be better. So one of the ways you can do that is by submitting your beer to homebrew competitions. So
Mm-hmm.
these are certified judges, believe it or not, who have a list of criteria, and they will judge your beer, that style, against other ones of similar. If it's really good, you can get an award, a medal, and a pat on the back. And if it wasn't that great, you would get some very constructive feedback on what you did wrong and how you can improve. And I love that because just like anybody, you don't want to just rest on your laurels, and you certainly don't want to just assume that what your friends and family are telling you is what you want to hear.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Hearing the honest truth is very important, especially as an entrepreneur. So, Mark,
100
who would resonate most with your story that we're going to start getting into a little bit?
Yeah. So honestly, like, to be honest, anybody who has a passion or a hobby and wants to control their own destiny, their own future, I'm your guy to talk to. I certainly don't tell people, or I don't advocate people to go on Monday and quit their job and start up their business. You got to have a plan. You have to know what you're doing, do a lot of research. But honestly, one thing I've learned very quickly is that life is way too short, and there's no room for what ifs, and living with regret. So really, it's just about finding your passion, finding what you love to do, and if you can parlay that into something that pays the bills, that is a job, then you'll never work a day in your life, as the saying goes.
Absolutely. I've been hearing that my whole life, at least on the
Yeah.
music side. So, Mark, prior to launching this little side hustle initially, out
Yep.
of your garage, did you have a background in business or entrepreneurship? Like, how did you learn some of the many skills that entrepreneurs need to know about?
A lot of things that I've learned in life is the school of hard knocks. So to be honest, I mean, when I was in public relations, so I don't have a business background. I've never really owned a business, but I've worked in enough small businesses to learn from some very good, very smart people. And the other thing I learned was surround yourself with like-minded people, smarter people than myself. If I'm the smartest person in a room, I'm in the wrong room. So it's really good to surround yourself with people with different strengths that can complement yours, and then together you can build something pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I learned. Also, there's a lot of great resources in Ottawa. There's a lot of great resources online, and so I always relied on that. And again, just talking to other people that were in the business. The one thing about the craft beer industry, especially here in Ottawa, is that it's a friendly competition, but we're all small businesses that really want to succeed and do well in the community. So we had
Yeah.
those people to kind of lean on and ask questions, and they've always been very, very helpful.
Yeah, and I know that during COVID, it was such a tough time. And if I remember correctly, many of the microbreweries got together, they talked, they shared best practices. So when we talking to the concept of collaboration, um, how does collaboration come into your day to day?
So for us, I guess there's two ways of looking at it. One is ingredients and equipment and sharing of resources. So in our case, if we are short on a bag of grains or hops or yeast, there's a couple of breweries that we are good friends with that we can call upon, and it's almost like that good neighbor. Can you spare a
Yeah,
cup of sugar? But the other side of collaboration that we do, and people love this on the consumer side and as well as an owner side, is working with other breweries to collaborate on a particular recipe where the two brewers will get together and come up with something that is unique and different, that is complementary to the styles that those breweries are good at, and maybe to also work outside of your comfort zone, so that both sides kind of learn something.
mm,
And it also just kind of shows, again, that collaborative spirit that the craft beer industry has. I
yeah.
think a lot of people really get excited when two of their favorite breweries come together to make one spectacular product.
Oh, only good things can happen from that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And collaboration lends itself well to the next question about networking. Mark, I would see you around different chamber events and around the city, working events. We're collaborating on something down the road.
Yep.
Would you care to share some networking tips to our audience, please?
Excuse me. Yes. It's funny because one of the things that there's a lot of things that I took away from the public relations program at Algonquin, but prior to that, I never truly understood the value of volunteering. Not just volunteering to help out your community, but volunteering to also, if there's a specific skill set that maybe you're lacking, putting yourself out there to work with somebody or an organization that can and is willing to take you on to help you hone those skills or learn some new skills, that can go a long way. And so one of the things that the PR program really pushed was to get out there and to volunteer your time to enhance your skill set. And so by doing so, you're also building your network. The more people that you meet, the more things that you get involved with, the larger your sphere or your web expands. And so I quickly started getting involved with things that were of interest to me, that I got something out of, but also was giving back. One thing in particular, I guess, my son was about to be born. I love skiing, and I skied all my whole life, but I was kind of tired of just going up to the hill and going up and down. So I really wanted to do something that would help people force myself basically to go out, and also a skill that I can do at home. And so first aid, ski patrol seemed like a no-brainer. And so I became part of the Canadian Ski Patrol. I did that for over 10 years. And again, met a lot of wonderful people with a lot of different backgrounds. And again, that's a volunteer organization that we're doing good in the community. And I just expanded the network that I know. So really, it's just about, again, going back to following your passions. If you're passionate about animals, well, maybe work with a rescue organization or some other NGO. If it's about unhomed people, the mission is always looking for help. The shepherds are always looking for help. Yeah. And you never know who you're going to meet and expand that network. And at the end of the day, you're also doing something that is helping the community and giving back. And that is very valuable as well.
Oh, I'm so pleased to hear this, Marc, because often we hear that people starting business, they want to have $1 million, they want to retire when they're 30, and like, okay, good luck. I hope you get there. But going forward in life, it's all about giving back and helping other people and organizations. And also doing so expands your reach, maybe to people or other opportunities you might not have otherwise had the opportunity to meet. Mm-hmm. And, we're helping the community, which I think most of us want to be in business in 10 years from now. And what we're doing now is building that rapport, that relationship, and networking among the community to do that. So, kudos to you, Marc. You're doing something really good here.
Well, thank you very much. Again, it's one of those things if I give back, I'm still getting something in return. And that if it makes me feel good about what I'm doing, if I know I'm helping my neighbors or somebody in the community, then that's something that money can't give you.
Absolutely. And, we talked about the school of hard knocks. So many of us starting business has been in business for a while. We don't have a board of directors. We might not have other even co-hosts, like people to bounce ideas off. Mm-hmm. How has the concept of mentorship or coaching affected you? Like, do you have a mentor? Do you coach people? Like, how do you get some new ideas or bounce ideas?
I get inspired. Honestly, I get inspired by other breweries. And there's a lot in Ontario. There's well over 380 some odd. Wow. And some are smaller than us, and some are much bigger. Some are more successful. And I always look up to those people, what they're doing and what are they doing right, and what can we do that's different, that is tailored to sort of what we do. One of the things, so I don't necessarily have a mentor per se, although at the time when we were starting, one person that I did look up to was Steve Beauchesne. So he had started Bo's Brewery, and I thought these are the right people doing the right thing. I just loved everything about what they did. Steve seemed like such a genuine guy, and so
nice guy.
When we first started, like he was very open and very helpful. And then on the flip side of that, when we first started, one of the things that we've always offered to anybody starting up a business, whether it was a brewery or anything else, was it's not easy. And, not everybody has the answers. I certainly don't have the answers. I'm still learning every single day. But if there's something that I can impart some of my experience to someone so that they don't repeat the mistakes that I made, it'll make their journey a lot easier. Then I am always willing and happy to sit down and chat with people about it, about our experience and what worked and what didn't.
Right, right. And not too often we hear of so much competition in the microbrewery industry. Like, how many did you say were in Ontario? Like 300, more than that?
There's over 380, I believe, in Ontario alone. There is
Wow.
in the Ottawa region itself, I believe we've lost a few due to COVID, but I would say at least 38 if I'm off the top of my head.
Wow. So what about branding, Marc? Like, how would you have Stray Dog stand out from the competition? Obviously, with an amazing product, and I can attest, I've had quite a few of your drinks. They're wonderful, but we cannot endorse nor approve alcoholic beverages on this
Of
podcast.
course not. No.
But talk about branding, if you will.
Yeah. So again, I think this is one of our, other than making very good beer, one of our strengths, of course, is on the branding marketing side. So myself and my partner, we both have backgrounds in communications. So when you're in PR, one of the things you learn to do is how to promote a product or how to promote an idea with little to no budget. So you become very, very clever on what images are, guerrilla marketing, how important the message really is. And so, looking at our logo, for instance, it's not complicated. It's very simple. It's very clean, and it resonates with a lot of people. When we first started, it really wasn't about dogs at all. Actually, the Stray Dog was, much what you said in the introduction, has a lot to do with the passion to go after what you want. Much like a stray dog in the world can roam around, doesn't have any chains or leashes to metaphorically kind of hold it back.
Yeah.
Well, in life, many of us have these passions or these hobbies or these dreams that we want to pursue, but because we have these metaphorical leashes that hold us back, maybe it's the safety and security of a full-time job, a pension, benefits, all those things, which are wonderful. But at the end of the day, are you happy? And I think that's really kind of comes down to finding that balance of happiness and freedom. And so we wanted to be an inspiration for people, to pursue their passions. And we take the same attitude when we create our beer. And also what's really cool about craft beer is that there are really not a lot of rules. And so we can have a lot of fun with the images that we have on our cans or the write-ups and descriptions that we have about our beers, because that's really half of the fun, is just creating a small narrative, a story to draw people in, to connect with people in that respect.
Right.
And
right.
so that's kind of been our methodology. And I think in terms of Stray Dog as a business, it really is about the people that work with us, work for us, and come and visit. It's a real, it seems kind of cliche now to say it, but when somebody says like, oh, it's a real vibe, it's a great positive vibe, it really is. And it's something that has happened organically within the brewery. And a lot of people will try to credit myself or Justin, but I credit back to our incredible staff and the people that have found these strays that have found a home at the brewery. It's just become
everybody has a home at Stray Dog. Yeah,
exactly. You're absolutely right. Everybody's welcome. Everybody is meant to feel at home. It's almost like you're a guest in my house, and I want you to feel welcome.
Well, I see some of the programming you do. A couple of years ago, we worked together on some jazz nights. You have
great.
Live music nights. You have game nights. Like, you're really incorporating so much of the community and different parts of it coming together.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned by doing this for the last 8 years is I always say, like, beer is the product that we make, but it's people that are really our business. And so if you just rely on beer, if you're just building a widget, there's always going to be a better widget out there. So what makes yours better than everybody else's? Why would they choose yours over someone else's? Well, you have to keep reinventing yourself or readjusting and giving people a reason to come back. So the beer will always be the constant. It'll always be great. But what else can we offer you that's different from somewhere else?
Right.
Especially in the suburbs, like people are home from work. Do they really want to go back downtown, or do they want to go and stay in their own neighborhood and find entertainment and still be home before midnight? Well, that's what we offer.
Yeah. What about money cash flow tips? I mean, again,
don't open a brewery.
Okay, well, let's lump that into processes. I can only imagine the costs that are involved with opening up a microbrewery. There's so many details I probably can't even imagine what it's like. But let's maybe even larger, like somebody opening up a business doesn't have to be in brewery. What about some cash flow tips, perhaps, or or processes for that matter that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah. So first of all, get yourself a really good accountant. That's what we've done. He actually helped us at the very beginning with our sales forecasting. Just looking around at some of the other like-minded, similar-sized breweries as well, what they were doing. Cash flow is probably the biggest issue I'm sure for a lot of small businesses, but certainly for a brewery of our scale. When you buy a pallet full of grain, you're easily dropping several grand, and they're going to want that money right away. But when we brew the beer, it's at least 28 days until that product is on the shelf. So we actually don't start collecting revenue until the first can or the first keg is being sold to an account. So yeah, one is to have a really good accountant. The other one is just be able to forecast out as far as you can. And then also find other ways that you can create revenue. So for us, it's not just about beer. It also is about merchandise. That's a big part of it. We also do that by supporting other small businesses, by bringing in their products so we can sell into out of the brewery. So it exposes their brand, but it also allows us to, getting a little bit more money that way. And then just really planning everything out and just being as smart and frugal as you can. Our payroll is probably the biggest expense, and then it's goods, and then it's loans and everything else. But again, you can't be a good business without having great staff. And so we truly believe in that to me is an investment, which is well worth it. But yeah, if we're looking at outside money, grants and that kind of thing, it's easier for certain properties that might, let's say they're on a farm or they're more rural, then they can get agricultural grants. But when you're a city property or a boutique brewery like ourselves in the suburbs, it's a lot more difficult. So it's really just trying to find clever ways on, trying to find, that cash flow when you can. Yeah, just thinking outside the box a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. Speaking of outside the box, it could lead into the next question. COVID. Now, there's no doubt that it devastated the industry initially. But what has changed since COVID? Because Marc, you probably know that we have another podcast called the Pivoted Success Podcast about how small businesses and organizations have adapted since COVID. But I'd like, since you were knee deep in it, how did you pivot? Because of COVID?
The lucky thing was that alcohol was deemed essential during COVID.
My goodness.
And I'm sure a lot of people watching or listening to this will attest to that as well, because I probably delivered quite a bit of beer to them. So yeah, we had this moment of when everything was closing down, the restaurants, that accounted for about 50% of our revenue, maybe 60%. And when all the restaurants closed down, we didn't know how that was going to affect us. I mean, what happens when 50 to 60% of your revenue stream is gone?
Yeah. So
I reached out to another wonderful entrepreneur, a good friend of ours, Brad Campo, who's the owner of Brew Donkey. Yep. And so his business is solely based or primarily based web-based, right? All of his tours, you just go through his website and then you get on the bus and off you go. But there's no actual physical kind of bricks and mortar type of spot.
Yeah.
So I reached out to him to see how. So our website was initially based on the Shopify platform. So a little shot, another shout out to Shopify, like they need it, but it really saved us because basically with a flip of a switch, we were able to turn on home delivery, and it really saved our bacon for the first 3-4 months, where to the point where we were selling out of everything. Now we knew that was a honeymoon phase. We never knew how long it was going to last, but it certainly helped move product up that would have otherwise just been sitting there. And we were able to, stay on top of our expenses. We didn't have to lay off any staff. We turned everybody into a delivery driver or an order picker, and it really kind of got us right through the really difficult times and all the different lockdowns. So it's definitely one of those things. Yeah, if anybody is thinking about putting together a business plan, put in that pandemic. What if, if A happens, how are you going to be able to sustain your business? Because I think you always need to have some sort of plan B, because we've seen just, what happens. It could devastate a business just like overnight.
Yeah.
So we were very, very lucky.
And Marc, let's talk about some time management tips. You're pulled in all these directions. You have a family, you're growing the business, you have all the staff, you're at events, you're hosting things. How do you manage your time?
That's great. So when we first opened,
do you start a certain time every day? Do you take time off for yourself? Like, again, just to give, the small businesses watching just more inspiration to learn from some other business leaders like yourself.
Honestly, when we first started, I was, if I had to clock all my hours, it would have been mind blowing. I would have quit a long time ago. You don't sleep much when you first start. And here's the thing. When we first started, I was working my full-time job and Justin was working his full-time job. And we would come home, we would have dinner, we'd see our families. I had a very young family at the time. Justin hadn't even started having kids yet. And so we would have dinner, see our spouses, and then we would go to the brewery. We would can, we would clean, we would brew. And so we were away a lot. And one of the biggest things was communication with your partner to make sure that, this is going to take a lot of time at the very onset. Try to get them involved as possible if you can, because they have a sense of ownership and pride as well. And they also understand why you're taking so much time away from home and your other responsibilities to really get this dream of yours going. After that, though, it really is like being able to find the right people that you can rely on, that you can trust, and really being able to, for yourself, to be able to let go of some of those responsibilities and trusting the people that you've hired to do those tasks that you can give to them, so that you can give yourself some more time to find out to what's really important. And that is time for yourself, for mental health, for your family, which is part and parcel. So that took a couple of years, to be honest with you, till I got to a point where I was comfortable enough to start delegating some of those responsibilities so that I can spend more time with my family. I'm at a stage now where, I get up between 7:30 and 8:30. Then I'll check my emails. I check my Google Calendar, which is my lifesaver, to find out what tasks I have that day or that week that I have to address. I'll take care of those. I'll go out. I'll meet some people. I'll go down to the brewery. I'll talk to my staff. And then primarily I'll work from home. And then I definitely try to carve out as much time as I can for my family. But all that being said, I'm also very guilty of, always being available and, kind of that 24/7 business owner mentality. So even when I'm on vacation, sometimes I have a very hard time switching that off. But that's because it's my baby, and
it's such a passion as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so if I didn't love doing it, I probably wouldn't do it.
Right. Well, let's talk about some of that love that you've had. Let's talk about some of the successes that you're proud of. Like, do you have any wins that you'd like to share?
Oh, So we used to submit, we'd submit our beers to some competitions, Ontario and nationwide. We first started, we actually won a couple of awards for some of our beers with the Ontario Craft Brewers Association. Shag and Wagon, which is our New England IPA, which I believe you've probably enjoyed in the past and hopefully will in the future. That's won some awards. Our California Common also won some awards, and our Cucumber Wheat Beer, SummerSlam, won gold several times. But our Jagged Little Pilsner, which is a Czech-style Pilsner, won in 2019 gold in that category right across Canada. And that is very difficult to do because, especially something like a lager, it's very clean. It's very, you can't disguise any fault in it. And so when you can get a gold in that, you certainly, you display that very proudly. And that's a testament to Justin and his brewing skills and how amazing he is. But beyond that, I mean, we've won a couple of other sort of awards for the beer, but I think for us, it's just seeing the same people come back, our loyal customers, our regulars that come in sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, that come and support our musical events or our trivia nights. It's humbling for me to see that these people are spending their hard-earned money, because money's still tight everywhere for everybody. They could spend their money anywhere and their time anywhere. The fact that they are willing to do that with us and for us and support us is probably the biggest win.
Oh, well, you're a part of the family here in the community, so absolutely.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, keep it up. So let's talk about the other side, the challenges, even some failures, like talking about adapting, resiliency, some lessons learned so that others can learn from this. What do you think?
Yeah. Failures. That's a good one.
Or things that you said, you know what, we could have done that better, or if
Yeah. I mean, I think when we first started, we were a bit, a little naive. Well, we were very naive because it was our first real foray into business and into, the brewery business. And you're right. Like it's hard. It's a lot of competition out there. Right. So everybody's vying for the same palate. When dealing with various pubs and restaurants, there's a lot of challenges involved with that because they have staff to pay. They have bottom lines that they have to meet. So trying to find that balance between offering them a quality product without charging them quality prices, but also not discounting yourself so much that either you're not going to make a profit or you're just basically just kind of giving it away.
Oh, we hear that all the time. Entrepreneurs trying to, the lowest price, but why do you have to always be the lowest price? No,
exactly. When it becomes a race to the bottom, I think everybody loses. And so really it's just trying to find a balance of staying true to yourself, but also maybe setting a little bit of your ego aside to make some concessions to, just to work with other businesses or other places that you may not have considered in the first place. I would have done a lot more research on all the different expenses that would have been involved in operating a business. So we're incorporated, as one example. So we're an incorporated business, and I just got the new invoice for our directors and officers insurance,
liability insurance,
which is very expensive, but it is very necessary. And it's something that, again, when you start planning out a business, if you don't talk to somebody about it, or if somebody doesn't tell you, you would not know about it. Yeah. But it can really protect you later on down the road. So a lot of it's just been kind of happy little accidents, trying to, figure our way, navigating through all the different legislations and stuff. Right now, we are in the process of getting a liquor license, which would allow us to provide, liquor, cider, and other people's beer. We were always kind of hesitant to do that because we thought, well, let's just make our own product and that'll just be enough. If you asked me that in 2019, I would have agreed to that. But one thing that the pandemic has showed us is that you really have to be nimble and be willing to adjust when you can. and looking for those opportunities to gain more revenue. And so this, I think, will allow us to open up a bigger market, to offer things to people that not everybody, believe it or not, likes beer, or it's not. I know they're not here.
Really?
I don't know who they are. Here's another good one. Somebody comes in and they are gluten intolerant. Well, we don't make gluten-free beer, and it's very difficult to do that. You have to have a specific production facility to be able to do that. But cider and wine are also good alternatives, but we didn't have that to offer. Now we'll be able to offer that as an alternative. So so over time, I think it just kind of allows you start looking at missed opportunities. It's not to say that it's too late. It's never too late. You know what I mean? And so that's just one of those things that we're looking into and being able to offer people soon enough.
Well,
you know what?
You're growing. You're thinking outside the box. You're thinking a few years down the road from now.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, even like we're a pet friendly business, and I know it's in the name, but we never really leaned into the dog aspect of things. We just wanted to goes back to allowing the beer to speak for itself. Really though, we started realizing that people with dogs, they have money, they want to spend more time with their dogs, and they want to do it in social settings. That is something that we offer. And it's also a wonderful place. And I've heard this anecdotally from many people where they want a place that is safe, that they can socialize their dogs, with other people. Is, again, something that we offer. I never thought that is something that would have been part of our core business, but now it has been, and it's worked great for us.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's talk a bit about the mental health aspect, Marc. I mean, we could talk about COVID or not, but how do you juggle the family, the business, starting the business, staying in business, the struggles that come with that? Like, do you have any words of wisdom for mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I have a great support system here at home. I probably as a communicator, I probably haven't been the best communicator at home. But one thing COVID sort of taught me is to, and age and experience, just being able to talk about what's happening with the business, good and bad, with my partner, to let her in on what's happening, because she acts as a sounding board as well. She offers great advice. She will tell me things that I maybe don't like to hear or want to hear, but I need to hear it. And that's really important, involving her as much as I can in the business when I can. My son works for us now, which is great because I get to see him more often. I get to see him in a different light. So doing things like that. And then again, really in the last few years, carving out time to spend with my family, taking whether it's a night or a weekend or a week away, and getting everybody, all four of us involved, just really kind of resets everything and brings balance back into my life. And if I'm happier, everybody's happier. And it's really just about, regardless, share the good times and the bad times equally, and be open to constructive criticism, and don't take them personally, but use those as teaching opportunities. I think that's the most important thing for my mental health anyways.
Oh yeah, I mean, notwithstanding, we love the business. That's why we're doing it in the first place. That's why we launched. But something to never forget is that, we should be living, not work to live.
That's right.
Work to live, but not live to work.
That's right. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life like working for just the weekend, for these 2 precious days that were coming up on the calendar. So I mean, I really do try to carve out as much time as I can to just enjoy the things that I like to do, that give me joy outside of the business, that it's not always has to be about the business anymore, because if I'm doing other things to enhance my mental well-being, I'll be a better stray dog.
I love it. Okay. Well, Marc, we're coming to the end of our segment. Is there anything that we've touched upon that you'd like to elaborate further, or any closing words of wisdom for others?
I just kind of reiterating that, I think everybody, no matter what you do in life, if you find anything that you are passionate about or you love, it doesn't necessarily have to turn into a business, because we wouldn't want anybody to take their passion to create a business and then hate that or drag that down and turn that into a job. But whatever it is that you're passionate about, if that brings you joy, dive in both feet. You have to, because you will be a happier person. You'll have better work-life balance. You'll carve out time to do the things that bring you joy, and you'll be a better partner. You'll be a better business owner. You'll be a better spouse, father, mother, whatever the case may be. But just really so important to find that balance in your life and finding the things that you love and pursuing it.
Oh, absolutely. And like they say, there's never been a better time to start a business. Nobody wants to live with regret. So get on it and do it now.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah. Marc, thank you. How can somebody get in touch with you, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm available on all social platforms, Facebook and Instagram. You can find me through Stray Dog Brewing .ca is our website. Follow us on all the socials. Or you know what, just come down to the brewery, and I'm usually there on weekends and any music nights. Come and find me. I'll be happy to sit down and have a chat and a beer with anyone. And yeah, pretty easy to find.
Wonderful. Well, folks who are watching or listening, show them some social media love. So I'd like to thank Marc Plante of Stray Dog Brewing on this episode of Talk to the Fedora. We hope that this segment has provided some wisdom that you can use to grow your small business. So please be sure to check out the hundreds of other YouTube channels on our eSAX videos for some great entrepreneurial content. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jarrod.